some thoughts on what the presentation was titled, which was Retirement Blues, the Gig Economy, and Microvolunteering. So, very simply, a bit odd to be talking about retirement at 51, but since I had a passing acquaintance with that recently, I did learn a lot about what I think it will be like to be retired. And while the concept of retirement conjures up images like, certainly if you Google it, you find beach holidays and grandchildren and often money worries. But at the end of it, my own personal experience was somewhat different, which was on the one hand very depressing and on the one hand very liberating. What I did learn about myself, about my mind and about my body was that I went through that phase of deemed retirement almost like it was a withdrawal symptom from an addiction. I was so addicted to my work, happily addicted to my work, that I actually believe that when you retire, your body responds as though it is now withdrawing from that chemical stimulation which you get day after day. And it doesn't matter, you may be having great fun at work, you may be going through rough work, it doesn't matter, but there's some chemical reaction happening in your body every day at work, and when that stops, it can be really, really hard. And I just accepted it as something which is, it's just chemicals. But at the end of the day, what I realized was it isn't just your body that's reacting that way, it's the mind as well. And after a lot of questioning of myself, and I came to no answer, it was a friend of mine who told me very succinctly, she said, people like you, meaning professional working women, people like you, she says, you believe that unless you are useful, you're useless. And I said, yes, I actually believe that. Good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter, but I actually believe it. And therefore, the day you stop feeling useful, the day you realize people are not sending you 100 emails a day wanting your advice on something, the day you realize you're not being paid $1 million to do something, the day you realize that nobody's calling out your name, you feel pretty useless. Now, the question is that it's very easy. You say, well, then don't retire, right? Today there are lots of options. Just don't retire. But the problem is that actually you do want to, at some stage, move on to being differently useful. You don't want it in the same old way. You don't want it the way that you were at 25. You do want it your own way, on your own terms, on your own time, in your own way, what you want to do, when you want to do, how you want to do. And what struck me at that time was that was so similar to the way that the millennials were talking about their work. They wanted to do their work on their terms, when they want, where they want, how they want, and whom they want. And that they had actually created something that we now call the gig economy. So while on the one hand you have the Ubers and the Airbnbs, which are the asset-based gigs, you have the entire world of freelancer.com, upwork.com, fiverr.com, 99designs.com, which is all about skill-based gigs. And at that stage, when I started looking at that, it was so interesting that when I put that to use to do some pro bono work, it was the most exhilarating experience I ever had. I did have a little video, but we don't have the time for that. But I would just like to say that, in short, over a period of about 3 to 4 weeks, I was doing pro bono work for a healthcare organization. And working with people, one artist in Philippines, one Pakistani videographer, and one voiceover artist from Ohio in the US, and my scripting and researching what I wanted to do, we created this 2-minute video, which I felt so proud of, and it had cost me the princely sum of $50. And when I handed that over to this organization that needed to have this video created, they were like, 3 weeks and $50? I said, yeah, forget about the $50. And I just feel that that day I discovered what today is being called micro-volunteering. It's become now a trend, it even has its own day. I think there's an April 17th, which is called Micro-Volunteering Day. And as and when each of us moves into that phase, when we are knocking on the doors of retirement. I would only say, give it a shot. There's a lot of stuff going on in that space, and whether you choose to do the micro-volunteering or you choose to bring NGOs and other non-profits onto these platforms for micro-volunteering, or whether you simply orchestrate the micro-volunteering and part of this whole gig economy, bringing together stuff which can really create value for the entire non-profit sector. It's really, really very, very fulfilling. And that's what I found in that phase of my life that just helped me turn that circle from feeling useless to feeling useful once again on my terms. Thank you.
Tools to design more effective treatments specifically for you, based on your genes and those of the cancer cells. There are two important ways in which genomics work. First, think of different drugs as different kinds of locks. For them to act on the cancer cells, they need to be opened by keys which are in your cells. By testing your cells, the doctor learns whether you have the keys needed for various drugs or not, and whether the keys are quick or slow acting. He then chooses only those drugs for which you have the keys. This makes sure that the treatment is effective. He also controls the dosage of the drug based on whether your key is quick or slow acting, thereby minimizing the side effects of the drug. Second, think of all your cells as having a protective armor. The cancer cells also have an armor. All the armors have weak points, but because cancer cells are not normal, their weak points are often different from the weak points of your normal cells. By testing the cancer cells, the doctor learns the weak points in their armor. He then chooses only those drugs that attack the weak points of the cancer cells, but not your normal cells. This works to control the cancer with minimum side effects. To understand what your options are, follow the step-by-step guide on our site and discuss with your doctor to help him design a better treatment for you. While some of the options are somewhat expensive, many are not, or are covered by insurance. If you have any questions, do contact us. We would love to see you get well. Sooner, safer.